talk to me about the early stages of diagnosis. What were the early signs, early symptoms?
Well, the first symptom was it was during COVID and there was a lift in lockdown restrictions. And I took the opportunity to work and I worked on about 2 photo shoots because I was broke and I needed money because my 60% of my income was decimated just by COVID overnight. Yeah. So I was like, woohoo, let's do some work. So I think my muscles were just getting used to the fact that I was carrying heavy bags again. And I woke up one morning and I had like a frozen shoulder and I just assumed it was because of that, because there's a lot of pulling and dragging with stylist work. And then a few weeks later, it was so bad, I was debating whether wanted to take a shower and I couldn't unclasp my bra. Oh. And I was like, do I wash with it on or do I cut it off? And because I was in that much pain, I couldn't unclasp my bra. There was that much rigidity in my shoulder. And then shortly thereafter, I got small involuntary movements in my fingers. It was like a flutter, it almost sounded poetic, like a butterfly's wings. And then that became a steady shake with a wave-like rhythm that went from my fingers and it extended up to my arm.
Wow.
So that was over a period of months because this happened November 2020. I called my sister and I said, what do you think it is? She's like, it's probably like a trapped nerve. Don't be worrying about it. I was like, yeah. It's always the most logical reason. You think, fine. So it was March before we could see our GPs. So my GP had arranged for me to get 3 MRIs. So one on my shoulder, one on my neck and spine, and a brain scan. So over a period of 9 months, I think it was, because that was March until December. That's about 9 months. Because of the pressure that was put on the healthcare system, took ages to get MRIs and ages to get the results back. So each one, like the shoulder MRI came back, and it's like that knocked the trapped nerve on the head because there was nothing wrong with my shoulder. The back came back, the neck and spine, that was fine. And by the time my brain scan had come back, which was clear, and I'll explain why in a moment, my hand had started to cup inwards.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
My handwriting became small and really cramped. I couldn't apply mascara, which is a hate crime in my world. And I was dragging my leg. There were lots of, and these symptoms independently had happened over a course of 9 months, but the hand cupping and the small handwriting, yep. And just the fact that everything was just moving, I was just constantly in a state of motion. My GP was like, the math isn't mathing. We're sending you to the acute medical unit in Cork University Hospital tomorrow morning, and we're getting an answer. So that was the 16th of December was my diagnosis day. I remember it so clearly. I arrived at 9 a.m. with a book, and she was like, get a sandwich, because you're going to be there till 4 o'clock. I saw a nurse, I saw a doctor, I saw a few neurologists, and then I saw the man who would be my consultant neurologist. And it was around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We talked about my, medical history, this, that, and the third. He did a few tests, and then he was like, you've got early-onset Parkinson's disease. Oh. And so it's strange because I thought, at least I have an answer. But then I had all these questions. But I was in shock.
When you on your own?
I was on my own.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We always say bring someone because you shut down with people here. And we've interviewed people with all different types of diagnosis. They say that. They shut down when they hear the initial.
It was like somebody else, I keep saying, it was like an envoy or a PA. I turned into a version of me. And I was taking notes, noting everything he said. About a fraction of it got into my head. Yep. And he said, you need to come back to me next week with a second set of ears to take this all in, because none of this will have gotten into your head. In fact, when we meet again, I would, bargain to say that, the same thing will happen. So I went with my best friend, and she's great because she's really practical. So the two of us were swapping notes after we had met with my consultant, and he had said to me, you have a choice to be on medication or not to be on medication. The reason why it's a choice is because medication comes with side effects. But the benefit of medication for somebody who's early onset is that you get to stave off you get to slow down the progression of the disease. It's incurable, so medication only helps with the symptoms. It won't help with the actual, it can't do anything for the disease itself. So I chose to go on medication because I wanted to ring fence those years that were more productive for me. But just if I can circle back to the reason why my brain scan was clear, I had asked him that. I said, why was my brain scan clear if I had Parkinson's? And he said, Parkinson's lives a couple of millimeters below what is picked up in an MRI. What we need to give you is something called a DAT scan. So Parkinson's is a clinical diagnosis, but the DAT scan rules out any kind of pretenders to the Parkinson's throne, anything that could come up like essential tremor, like that Parkinson's could be mistaken for. So I had my DAT scan. I was diagnosed in December 2021. I had my DAT scan in May 2022. And the DAT scan came back in May, and it was, basically said, you've got it, Yeah, and it was like kind of bittersweet because I always thought that there was some other. Even before my diagnosis, people ask me, "Did you not think it was Parkinson's?" I said, "Why would I?
Yeah, of course.
I never thought women got Parkinson's. I knew nothing about Parkinson's. I kept thinking trapped nerve, that it was something that was easily explained and could be fixed."